911, where's your emergency?
There's a girl running down the street saying that her stepfather is killing everyone in her family. It's on the corner of where there's a body shop and the fire department. Do you know what road this is?
Okay, what's your name?
Give me into the fire department.
What's your name?
Do you know what road this is? Laura Lindell Road.
You said what?
It's Laura Lindell Road.
Okay, and what did the female say to you?
And she says that her stepfather is killing everybody in her house.
On June 15th, 2023, just 3 days before Father's Day, an unimaginable crime took place on a quiet street within the tranquil village of New Richmond, Ohio, a place that could be reminiscent of any peaceful suburb in America. The nature of this offense was so deeply disturbing and appalling that the prosecuting attorney was compelled to request the highest bond amount ever recorded in the county's history. In this video, we will examine the available factual information regarding this recent case, explore the aftermath, and provide an update on the ongoing legal proceedings. Furthermore, we will endeavor to unravel the pressing question that lingers in the minds of all those following this chilling saga. What was the motive behind this unthinkable act? Let's dive in. In the village of New Richmond, in a modest house along the 1900 block of Laurel Lindale Road, lived the Dowermans. The family included 32-year-old Chad, his 34-year-old wife, and their 3 young boys, 7-year-old Clayton, 4-year-old Hunter, and 3-year-old Chase. Also living with them was Mrs. Dowerman's teenage daughter from a prior relationship. The Dowerman children were full of vibrant energy and were exceptionally close. They enjoyed the company of their beloved dog, loved baseball, and supported one another through thick and thin. On June 14th, the boys were in their happy place on the baseball diamond after wrapping up their latest game. Kristen Bennett, the president of the local youth baseball league, recalled an observation she made as the Dowerman family prepared to depart. Like any caring father, she said she watched Chad instructing the boys to buckle up in their car seats, minding their safety. It was an ordinary, unremarkable moment, a scene that blended seamlessly into the fabric of countless families on the ball field. However, fate had a different moment in store for this seemingly everyday family. On Thursday, June 15, 2023, amidst cloudy skies and temperatures hovering around 81 degrees, life in New Richmond followed its usual suburban American routine. However, this day would prove to be far from ordinary when, in the late afternoon, a teenage girl was observed sprinting down a road with fear etched on her face, her desperate cries for help piercing the air. Her goal was to reach the safety of a nearby firehouse, seeking refuge from an unimaginable threat. At precisely 4:18 p.m., a concerned passerby driving along the road witnessed the teenage girl running and overheard her yelling, "My stepfather is killing everyone." The driver immediately contacted 911.
911, where's your emergency?
There's a girl running down the street saying that her stepfather is killing everyone in her family. It's on the corner of where there's a body shop and the fire department. Do you know what road this is?
Okay, what's your name?
Give me into the fire department.
What's your name?
Do you know what road this is? Laura Lindell Road.
You said what?
It's Laura Lindell Road.
Okay, and what did the female say to you?
And she says that her stepfather is killing everybody in her house. I did. I'm on the phone with them right now.
Did she say how or what was happening?
I asked her to get in the car with me, and she said she couldn't leave her family. But I think she ran to the fire department.
So she went to the fire station. What did she look like?
She's probably a young teenager, probably like 16 maybe, with long blonde hair. And she has a black dog.
Did she say anything about a baby?
I don't know about no baby. She said she just couldn't leave her family. But I see a car running around. I'm sorry?
Do you see anything from the house?
So I drove down the road a little bit, so I was afraid that I was going to get shot myself since I interacted with her face to face. So I'm just about maybe 3 houses down. But she's waiting at the corner. I don't know what she's doing, but I kind of still see her in the corner. But I saw a car kind of came around and whipped around, so I'm not exactly sure if that's him or if he's chasing her or not. I'm sorry?
What kind of vehicle was it?
I saw it. It was like a gray. Did you see that car whip around? It's one of the fire department guys.
Okay.
I think maybe a fire department guy. It was a regular kind of Focus-looking gray car.
Okay, we have help on the way. Thank you so
Dark
much.
gray.
If you
Okay, all right.
else, call us back, okay, and steer clear of the area at this time.
Okay. This said stay clear from the area.
Yeah,
but I think that's the house right there.
Deputies were notified by radio dispatch of the terrifying news. A man had gone on a shooting spree. The target? His own children. Officers arrived at the home on Laurel Lindale Road within minutes. Their first task was to secure the scene.
Okay, News England 232 and Liberty 1624.
Engine 33, Monroe 1.
The female that went to their house is advising that the male shot the entire family.
29137.
Where's he at?
Here. Shooter's on the porch.
Get him right here. You got him on the porch.
We've asked, that's the last place we've been told.
You show me your hands now! Stand up and walk towards us! Stand up now! Walk towards us! Stand up with your hands up!
We got a visual in the veil. Not showing his hands and not following commands.
Stand up now!
Not showing hands for following commands. His name is Chad Dorman. Dorman.
I know, but we can't.
People need first aid and he's not complying. And you know he's a shooter, shoot him.
We gotta find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safe ourselves. Hey, no. We need to come from this side where we can see them. Don't take cover behind her. We see them. We're going to approach from this side. We got cover. Right here.
6 covered, 29 and 63 is type out.
We're okay right now.
Show us your hands now. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up now. Stand up. Stand the up.
EMS to stage and air clear is going to go ahead and fly whenever any units can advise.
Get your hands up here.
72.
Come for 21. Send the air.
Those guys can confirm that there's people that need first aid, and that's the shooter who's not complying. They need to take care of the
I got it.
victims. They have to shoot him and shoot out.
Man, I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm completely sober. Never did drugs a day
63,
in my
we're
life.
21. Get the EMS over here.
Well, I did drugs when I was little, but I don't do drugs now. I'm sober. I'm not trying to fight you.
63.
Get your butt inside. Gatlin, get your butt inside.
We on primary?
Now.
29, we got 3 kids down.
3 kids down, 16 feet up.
Gatlin.
63, we're 21.
Knock
Have
it off.
EMS respond over here.
You're clear, they're being advised.
Robert 34, just started mass casualty response.
63, do you want them to respond to the Laurel Lindale address? Where exactly do you need them?
We're right in the front yard. What are you doing, man?
Hey, are you copying all this?
Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody.
You got anything on you?
No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it. I ain't mad. I ain't nothing. Just make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him and pet him.
All right.
He won't bite you.
What's going on, man?
Nothing. Can I stand up? It's kind of uncomfortable.
I'm gonna get
I ain't
you
gonna
here
do
in a
nothing. I ain't
second.
running away. You can do whatever you want with me.
Here. You the only one else inside the house?
What?
You the only one else inside the house?
Yeah.
Sit down right here.
My daughter, she ran over to the fire department.
Sit down.
It's my stepdaughter.
Put him in the cage.
Just a little.
What else do you need?
They're all being advised to come. They've requested 2 additional medics. There's also air care flying, but they need an LV. The medic coming. Yes.
Can you get the wallet out of my back pocket?
Shut up, dude.
21.
You had the right to remain silent and use it.
Yes, sir.
Take the call. I'm on the box right now. I'm almost there.
After ensuring the crime scene was secure, additional deputies carefully assessed the area. In a heart-wrenching discovery, they came upon 3 young gunshot victims in a yard, their condition unresponsive and critical. Adding to the tragedy, the boy's mother was also located outside the residence, bearing a gunshot wound to her hand, bravely sustained while trying to protect her children. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, immediate medical attention was provided, and she was swiftly transported to a nearby hospital for treatment. During the subsequent investigation, detectives learned that Dowerman allegedly first killed 4-year-old Hunter by shooting him twice while inside the family home. At that point, the 7-year-old Clayton ran into a field behind the house but was chased and shot from behind by his father. Dowerman approached the injured boy and fired off 2 more rounds. Finally, 3-year-old Chase was the last to be killed after he was ripped from his mother's arms. Community members were stunned.
I'm shocked, to be honest with you. We moved here 6 years ago, and the place is great, and you know, New Richmond's coming up, and you just hate to see anything like this anywhere.
All of a sudden I hear boom, boom, and at like 5 more, I'm like, that's 7 shots. That's shots. Like, there's no way. So I was freaking out like this before I got ready and everything, and I don't know, man. Before that, I saw 2 cars right here on this street zoom as fast as humanly possible. It was like something's going down.
According to a press release by the Claremont County Sheriff's Office, Dowerman was charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder after confessing to executing his 3 boys with a rifle. Dowerman was transported to the Claremont County Jail after being interviewed by detectives and was held without bond. The following day, he appeared at the Claremont County Municipal Court for a bond hearing.
State of our Office is Chad Dowerman, 2023 CRA 1975. This matter is before the court today for purposes of bond hearing. Mr. Kelm, you were here on behalf of Mr. Dowerman. Mr. DeCalvi, Mr. Gast on behalf of the state of Ohio. Mr. Kelm has the bond. Go ahead, sir.
As the bond, Your Honor, he is 32 years old. He lives in Richmond, married, is employed. He indicates that his relatives act as co-signers for him. At this time, Your Honor, we would submit to the court that a bond of $75,000 with order conditions would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeCalvi.
Judge Mark DeCalvi, Claremont County Prosecutor on behalf of the state. At this point, I'm going to let Mr. Gast handle the bond for an hour and a half. Thank you.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Judge, we've got law enforcement with us here today. Our office has been involved. Lots of people in our office have been involved with law enforcement throughout yesterday, afternoon, and evening, all the way through this morning. And the facts I have for you at this point are as follows. The trauma that this man has inflicted on his family, the community, law enforcement, first responders, and all of the rest of us who have any idea what's going on here is unspeakable. There's been a full admission in this case, Judge. The case is still new. We're still discovering facts. But the evil horror of what we know is impossible to process. In an act of just incomprehensible cruelty, the father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys, and he executed them in his own home with a rifle. They were ages 3, 4, and 7, Judge. In an act of desperation to save her children, the mother at some point grabbed the gun that father was wielding to attempt to protect them. We know that one of the boys was able to flee into a field near the home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses. The mother was shot through the hand in her attempt to protect her children. Judge, I asked the court in setting this bond to just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. The man they trust more than any other person on earth. The person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world. He was their guardian. And he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission. By that same admission, Judge, he has committed one of the most monstrous, craven, cowardly acts that will ever be our misfortune to see. To make things even more disturbing, Judge, this was no haphazard act. Again, by his own admission, he planned the events of this day. This did not happen on a whim. He's confessed to what I believe is the worst crime, at least I hope, that I'll see in my lifetime. I hope it's the worst fact pattern that ever comes before this court. Judge, it's important for the court to know, and the bond we're going to request today, for the court to understand Claremont County deputies, Monroe Township Fire and EMS, and other first responders bravely respond to the scene where they don't know what's going on. They did not know what they're facing, and they come into a scene that no one can ever be prepared for. No law enforcement training, no training of any kind prepares you for this. It's easy to forget that these are men and women with families, children, feelings, emotions. They're not some automaton performing a delegated function. They're people. They were required to give CPR to gunshot children, 3, 4, and 7-year-old children. They held these boys in their arms, knowing there was nothing they could do to save them. How long do those scars last? What day do you wake up from that and you're healed? How do you unsee such an abomination? Bond factors this court needs to consider today are set forth in Criminal Rule 46, nature and circumstance of the crime charged, and specifically whether the defendant used or had access to a weapon, including the seriousness of the offense. It's the most serious offense that we have on the books, Judge. This is it. You can't commit a more serious offense. So the nature of the crime charged is the worst crime that can be charged. Did he have access to a weapon? Yes, obviously he did. The weight of the evidence against the defendant at this point, Judge, we stand here with a full admission of the defendant. That also goes to the confirmation of the defendant's identity, and witnesses on scene did see at least part of what happened. Next, the court is to consider the likelihood this person would return the court if a bond were issued. Again, this is the most heinous crime with the most severe penalty under the law that we presented to the grand jury. That alone would be a major factor in discouraging a person from availing themselves to this court or any other. And the thought to flee and the likelihood of flight is great in the state's opinion. The danger he poses to the community is a factor that this court can consider, and I think with the facts in front of you, Judge, we can't name a person that poses a greater threat to the community. As his prior record goes, Judge, it is fairly minimal. He was charged with domestic violence in 2010. He is not, to my knowledge, on probation community control. Judge, the facts of this case are hopefully like no other we will ever see. When this case gets indicted in the Court of Common Pleas, I am certain that a no bond hearing will be held, and I would hope that would be granted. But at this point, this juncture, we're going to ask this court to issue a bond we've never asked for before. I'm going to ask for a bond of $20 million. I hope I never need to request such a bond again.
Thank you. Date for preliminary hearing?
The date for the preliminary hearing, Judge, is 6/26.
No objection, Your Honor.
The preliminary hearing will be set for June 26th at 1 p.m. At this point in time, bond's going to be set in the amount of $20 million cash or surety. Anything else at this time, Mr. Gast?
No, Judge.
Mr. Kelm? Mr. Kelm, anything further?
Nothing at this time.
All right, thank you.
All rise. Court is in recess.
1 week after the shooting, a Claremont County grand jury returned additional charges in a 21-count indictment against Dowerman, including 9 counts of aggravated murder, 8 counts of kidnapping, and 4 counts of felonious assault. According to the indictment, Dowerman committed the murders with prior calculation and design, confessing to planning for several months. Dowerman pleaded not guilty to all charges. Perhaps recognizing the futility of such a request, Dowerman's attorney chose not to pursue bond. Ultimately, Judge Victor Haddad ordered Dowerman to be held without bond. After the grand jury proceeding, Claremont County Prosecutor Mark Tekulve made clear his intentions for prosecuting Dowerman.
First and foremost, I want to start out by expressing the deepest sympathy I have for this family, for this unspeakable tragedy. We do have, I can't go into a whole lot of facts, all right, because this is a death penalty case, and my goal is to have this man executed for slaughtering these 3 little boys. It is, let me try to figure out a way to put this. It is an incomprehensible act of horror that he perpetrated on this family. So again, that is my most important focus right now, is to ensure that they're protected and they're safe. And my hope and wish and prayer is that someday we will be able to find peace. But factually, I've said what I said on the record, and I'm going to stick with that. Right?
Why was it, how complicated the death penalty is in Ohio right now, and how much extra work it adds to your office? Why was it important for you to seek this?
I'll let the facts speak for themselves. He slaughtered his 3 children in the most brutal fashion you could imagine, as I mentioned in court. The extra work is no extra work at all. It's what we do. This merits our attention, and our devotion, and our effort.
Thoughts on that initial not guilty plea?
That has to be done.
Chad Dowerman is next scheduled to be in court on July 5th, 2023 at 11 a.m. for a pretrial hearing. Weeks after Dowerman allegedly lined up his 3 little boys and shot and killed them with a rifle, one obvious question lingers. Why? At present, authorities have yet to establish a motive for the slayings. According to his father, Keith Dowerman, who spoke with the New York Post recently, he and his wife are still trying to comprehend how Chad could have murdered his children. When asked directly, he said, "He just snapped. There was something going on in his life that he couldn't handle no more. I can't talk to him. They aren't letting me talk to him, so I don't have any answers. He probably hid a lot of stuff from me." Delving into Chad Dowerman's background, we can examine the public record for potential clues. His criminal history includes a second-degree misdemeanor charge of criminal damaging at 18 years old. That case was dismissed after he paid $1,136 in restitution. In 2010, he was charged with domestic violence for allegedly choking his father, but the case was dismissed later that year when the prosecuting witness failed to appear. He has also amassed approximately a dozen traffic infractions and violations, primarily relating to speeding. According to an article by the local news outlet WKRC, they did some digging into Dowerman's public record. They filed an open records request with the Claremont County Communications Center, which revealed that police had been dispatched to the Dowerman residence twice since 2020, excluding the most recent incident. Unfortunately, no details regarding the nature of those prior visits were provided. Additionally, WKRC filed a records request with Children's Protective Services to inquire about any referrals, requests, complaints, or calls associated with Chad Dowerman or his address. The response received was, "There are no records responsive to your request." Lastly, a search of the county auditor's website showed that Dowerman purchased his home, a converted manufactured home on 3 acres of land, for $75,000, and the family was up to date with property tax payments. In a seminal contribution to the field of psychiatry, Dr. Philip Resnick, a renowned forensic psychiatrist, conducted an in-depth investigation involving 131 cases of parents killing their offspring. The findings of this comprehensive research were subsequently published in the American Journal of Psychiatry in 1969. Dr. Resnick was able to identify 5 primary motives for filicide. These motives include altruistic, fatal maltreatment, spousal revenge, unwanted child, and acutely psychotic. Altruistic filicide occurs when a parent believes that the child is subjected to unbearable suffering in an excessively cruel world. Fatal maltreatment involves instances where abuse or neglect leads to the child's death, even if it was not the intended outcome. Spousal revenge killings involve the deliberate act of harming a domestic partner by targeting and harming their children indirectly. Sadly, it is evident that Chad Dowerman has joined the ranks of the so-called family annihilators. The horrific Dowerman murders leave us grappling with profound sadness and an overwhelming sense of disbelief. With the motive behind this heinous act still unknown, and as the case continues to unfold, new information is emerging at a rapid pace, bringing with it a sense of anticipation for much-needed answers. In light of these developments, our collective hope is that the truth will be revealed and justice will be swiftly served.